You're watching BCTV, Branford's community access station.
This is BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of Branford.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. My name is Lori Rothwell. I want to welcome everybody to the Elderly Services Commission tonight, March 8th. And if the commissioners would please introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Jean Ricco.
Patty Torrey.
Mary Hahn.
Lori Rothwell.
Patty Brownell.
Susan Barnes.
Dana Murphy.
Nancy Cohen.
I'm Dagmar Ridgway, Director.
Dory Denhart, Clerk.
Okay, welcome everybody. Did everybody get a chance to review the meeting minutes from January 11th?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any corrections, additions, deletions? Do I hear a motion to approve them as written?
I'll approve it.
A second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so approved. Dagmar, would you like to do?
I do.
Are any questions?
I just want to, are there any questions? And I do, for the public, I do mail out and have for a long time the reports prior to the meeting. I try to do it. It's much better now that we've gone to the second Thursday of the month. I'm able to do it more easily. But anyway, are there any questions on the
So you send it out
reports?
to all the people who
The
are
commissioners.
members of the
Commissioners.
Oh,
Yeah, I send it to the commissioners. Does anyone have any questions on the financial report or the statistics? I'll review the budget after. The next year, the 2019 budget. I did include copies of everything for your books.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions?
You look busy, Nancy.
Do you want to take a look, if you could, at the 2019 budget, proposed budget? There's the budget in the sinking fund. And I, last Friday, presented that to Jamie and Jim Finch according to the guidelines they set forth. And there were only a couple of things that changed from what I submitted to you. On the wages and salaries for the full-time people, the contracts have been negotiated. They have yet to be voted on by the RTM. The staff contracts, not the supervisors, the staff and the unaffiliated, it's a proposed 2.5% increase, and my contract is still under negotiations. Under the seasonal part-time help, they recommended a 2% raise. That's for all our bus drivers, our night security, our instructors. I didn't increase the number of hours, I just increased the rate of pay. And then when you go under our operating side, you'll actually see a decrease on the operating side. Because we're in the process of speccing out another replacement bus, I was able to reduce the repair and maintenance on the buses $1,000. So that was good. And then under office supplies, I was able to reduce it because we've gone to producing the newsletter every 2 months. It's a 2-month issue, so I don't need as much paper. And we're doing more things digitally, so I felt it was wise at this time to reduce it. I don't think that'll be a problem at all. Everything else remained the same. Any questions on that? And I think it's important to note that as we look forward to relocating to 46 Church Street, our department will maintain its integrity, along with, we'll be housed in the same building as the rec department, but our departments will be independent. So I think that's important for the public to know as well, that the seniors have their space, the rec department has theirs. So our team of people that we'll be working with will remain the same. So it's exciting. And then also under the capital account, you'll see the copy of the sinking fund that I worked with Jim Finch on, so that we have a fund in place to replace. We have 6 vehicles to replace the 6 vehicles in a timely fashion. This year we're doing one of the larger buses, and then next year we'll do a 12-passenger. So the fund to replace it and replenish it, this year we're asking the same as we did last year for $35,000. So we can replace them when necessary. I've held off on it, but I think it's timely now to start replacing the buses. And we have a meeting next Tuesday night. We'll present this to the Board of Finance, and then a schedule will be set forth for the committees and the RTM, and I'll forward that to you when we get it. Are there any questions?
No.
Okay.
Is there any problem anticipated with it?
I don't think so, no. I think they were pleased that I was trying to be thoughtful in reducing things that I felt comfortable reducing. Okay, and the next thing in your packet, February 7th, I was asked to present to the Plan of Conservation and Development, and I did that 10 years ago. I think it was 10 years ago, 2008 was the last time. So I put together something. I felt it was really important to give it to the Commission because this has a lot to do with you and your advocacy and your voices as it works with the people in the community. And the one overwhelming thing that is held true is the statistics, the number of people over the age of 60 in Branford. And I pulled some of the data from ConnecticutData.org, which is on the next page. And if you look at the data down, the total age of people over the age of 60, 2015 it was 10,087, 2020 10,614, 2025 10,826 percentages. That means in 2015 over 37% were over the age of 60, in 2020 40.5%, and in 2025 42.44%. So that really speaks to the demographic of our community, and I'm very grateful that 10 years ago we spoke up, and over the last 10 years we've really been building an infrastructure to address it, and the Commission has done that with working on advocating for a new facility, which we're deep in the process of doing, adding a casework for all the social service things we need. I also, Dorothy, to speak to your point, I did mention the need for affordable housing for seniors. It's one of the most requested things that we get is where can I live within my finances. Transportation, we've added vehicles. We have a sinking fund that we put into place. And it was really important to me in programming, I'll get into that in a minute, it was really important that the community understand the baby boomers are aging, they're aging in place, and have those numbers and understand that our community has been very actively developing that infrastructure, and I want it to continue. And I think it's an important piece of the Plan of Conservation and Development, and I think it was very well received that they have some data and some numbers on where we're headed. It kind of hits you in the face a little bit. Everybody thinks it's youth, but it's a combination. There are a lot of people over the age of 60 who are remaining in town. So that was really important. And I want to kind of cruise you a little bit. On programming, I was doing some research, and BYU, Brigham Young, did a study, and they took like 120 different studies, and they looked at the predictors of living a long life. And what would you think are the top 2 predictors of living a long life? What would you, throw something out there. What do you think?
Keep moving.
Keep moving.
Activity.
Activity, what else?
Genes.
Socializing. Anything else?
Genes.
Genes, but the 2 top things was being socially integrated and how many connections you have in the course of a day and how many connections you have outside of your family. So what they mean about socially integrated, how many people you interact with in the course of a day, whether it's your mailman, whether you take a walk and it's someone outside, whether it's someone at the senior center. And what they mean on the other one, I have to remember what it was participating and someone you could call other than your family if you needed a ride to the doctor or if you wanted information on something or help with something. And all those functions, we as a multipurpose senior center help people address in this community. That's what a multipurpose senior center does. And it's the connections also that people make with their peers. So I really felt that was important to comment on because that study is significant. It was through the National Council on Aging. It was through BYU, got some serious funding for it. And I want to look into it a little further, but I felt it was important for our community to know that. And again, it works with the infrastructure that we're developing. And so I wanted to give you those demographics so as we move forward, you have that information because I think it's pretty powerful. Any questions about that?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But really that study, and I thought it would be changing your diet, exercising more, but it's actually interacting with people and who can you depend upon. So keep those social interactions going for you at home. Come visit us. And Dorothy's a perfect example of that because in her 90s, which I think I can say, she is very well connected and really uses her voice, and I think you're an excellent example of that, Dorothy, so you're to be applauded for that. Any questions on those?
What is the senior age that we're, is it
60.
That's what I
It's
thought.
age 60.
Okay. 60.
Yeah, every community is a little different, but we're 60.
And we have 10,000?
10,800 something, I think. It's on that.
Right, yeah, it was.
Yeah, so it's a higher percentage than I thought. I always thought we were at 27%,
Yeah.
and we're probably at about 39%,
Yeah.
somewhere in there right now. Over a third of the town, yeah. So, and that's actual people, not households, but it's people. So, anyway, that leads in a little bit to, if you look in your packet too, I handed out in your packet, when I was looking around at things, it kind of goes with the plan of conservation and development. You'll see this piece of paper in there? And I think I forwarded it to Lori, and Lori put it in your packet.
Yep.
And it's the ARP and the has worked with, what is it? The World Health Organization. That's it. The World Health Organization on establishing age-friendly communities. And that's for people of all ages. It's not just seniors, but an age-friendly community, as I understand it, has sidewalks, it's got housing, it's got transportation, it's got meals. It's got an infrastructure where people want to be. And currently, I think it says that, and I didn't go deep into it, I just kind of read it and said, let me give this to the commission because I think it might be, and you have to get designated as such, and in Connecticut, only 2 towns have received that designation, Greenwich and Newtown. There's a whole process you have to go to, and it's pretty in-depth. But I thought that might really be a good collaborative effort for members of the commission to work with the community on issues that are of concern to the community, but also continue to build that infrastructure moving forward for people of all ages. Of course, your particular concern is seniors. So I'll throw that one back to you, Lori, if you want to.
Okay. I think this is definitely something that we could look into, whether the commission wants to work on it or if we want to break down into a smaller group to kind of delve in to see what it entails.
Right.
I think that would be great. I had a question also, because we got the grant for the Aging Mastery program. What's the status? Are we going to provide more courses this year?
Yeah, Nancy was going to go into that in her report, so I promise we'll get to that. I just kind of wanted to get through where I am.
Okay.
And certainly, Lori, I think in the commission, I really do think that's a good designation and a good process to go through, and it keeps, again, the community on their toes and at the forefront of what the issues are. So it gives a focus to what I think you're trying to figure out.
Right,
I don't know, but just something I'm throwing out there. I quickly want to touch on, Marlo gave me her report for the social services. For energy assistance, we've got 700 families in our system. We've seen 501 in process, 501 applications have completed in process, which is ahead of schedule thanks to the addition of the caseworker. She says we're still seeing people, but in the process of contacting people who missed their appointment or may not know they could have applied. And the program runs until May 1st. If there's anyone at home who's looking to get help on some of their energy costs, it's your primary source of heating, please contact Marlo at 203-315-0682. And they'll be happy to schedule an appointment for you or give you more information. It's also on our website. We have a brochure on there. On the rent rebate, the two programs that had a problem last year, the rent rebate, we have not heard about the changes. I know it's gone to committee at the state legislature, and so we're waiting to hear on that. And the same with the Medicare savings programs. We know there's going to be cuts July 1st, but we don't know what they're going to look like. I know my colleagues have bombarded the state legislature committees, but I don't know what's happened. We haven't had any word. But I think at our May meeting, we should have a little more picture of what that looks like moving forward. So that's social services.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nancy, do you have?
Yep. Just a side note, if anyone signed up for lunch in the movie, since many people in the community had no power, no phone service, we did have to reschedule. The caterer had no power today, so we are having lunch in the movie next Friday, the 16th, so give me a call if you'd like to join us. Also, for anyone who's interested and doesn't quite understand Branford's tax deferral program, Bobby Gill Brooks will be at the center on March 14th at 10 in the morning to talk about it. Just give me a call to let me know if you're able to join us. We are doing a focus group for men only on March 23rd at 8 o'clock in the morning. And the purpose of the focus group is twofold. As we're getting ready to move into the new building, we want to start setting up more things for men. And I'm a woman. I mean, I kind of know some things that men like to do, but this is your chance, gentlemen, to come to the center and let us know what you're really looking to do. So please give me a call. Some things, some groups do breakfast clubs, their meetings, and they get different speakers. I don't know if you gentlemen are interested in having a nurse come and talk about male issues, because obviously I can't talk about them. If there's a different type of exercise program, a hobby that you might have that you want to share with your peers, everything and anything is on the table, so come on down.
When is that? It's a focus group. When is it?
The focus group is Friday, March 23rd. It's at 8 o'clock in the morning.
At Canoebrook?
At Canoebrook, and we made it on Friday because there's no swimming on Friday. So the gentlemen who swim Monday through Thursday, I did it for you guys, so please come. We do have some goodies for you, and I'm here with open ears to hear what you have to say, so thank you. For anyone who's new to the community or new to the senior center, we have our newcomers breakfast. That's coming up on March 29th at 9 in the morning. Everyone and anyone is welcome to that. Just let me know you're coming so I have enough papers and things to give to you. People have been asking for ballroom dance lessons. Well, guess what? We finally have an instructor. We have a 5-week session with Laurent Mullen. It'll be at the center on Fridays at 1:30, and we're only charging $10. So sign up ASAP.
You don't need to have a partner to do it.
Right, you don't need a partner to do it. So gentlemen,
Anybody can.
I'm looking for you guys. Come on down.
Or women.
And the women too, yeah. And as Lori was asking Dagmar about the Aging Mastery Program, we're happy to say that we're back. We're lucky that it was created by the National Council on Aging. It's an 8-week course. It's 8 weeks, and we have 10 different lessons within the 8 weeks, and we focus on health and wellness for people who are 55 years of age and older, because the younger folks really need what to do to plan for their older years. So it's a great series. It'll be on Tuesday afternoons starting on April 24th. And we're starting, like I said, April 24th from 2 to 4. And we're lucky to have grants from the Branford Community Foundation, and also Anthem, the insurance company, has also stepped up to the plate. It's a value that's $120, and we're able to only charge $20. When we did it the first time, Dagmar and I learned so much. I kind of wished it was offered to me in my earlier 50s so I can kind of plan what I need to do as we go down the road. If anyone in the community has any questions, feel free to call either myself or Dagmar, and we welcome you again with open arms because it's a very valuable program.
So when is that going to be offered?
It's starting on April 24th.
Okay.
And we couldn't do it, they wanted us to expedite it because of the Anthem partnership, so we couldn't do it in the evening this go-around, but the next sessions will be.
Okay.
So I was
That's
going to
good to know.
suggest that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
want
Because I
to, but
think
they
that
didn't.
I took it and I loved it. It was a very good
Yeah.
program. You guys did a great job. I really.
And we're
but
going to have you come be an
I
expediter.
wish that I had been there. Well, I don't want to tell you how old I am, but maybe 20 years earlier.
Right,
Because
right.
that is the demographics that we need to
Right.
get to give this information, and they're all at work between 2 and 4.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, because Anthem got involved now, we had to hurry up and do this. So hopefully
Right.
in the fall, we
In
can
the
offer it
fall,
in the
we're
evening.
hoping
okay.
to offer it
Yeah.
to
Good.
Yeah.
wider out.
Yeah.
And there is one other thing I want to mention, because I've been at the center 40 years now. I just celebrated a 40th anniversary working for
Congratulations.
Canoe. Good Lord,
Congratulations.
no, that's not why I say that. I say that because a couple of weeks ago, we had a program that I thought was one of the best programs
Yeah.
we've ever offered. And I want to thank Roberta Gill Brooks, who is one of my colleagues, who is the assessor. Isn't she the assessor?
collector.
Tax collector. Okay. She's the tax collector, and her dad, Bob Gill, was the chief of police.
Oh, yeah.
And for Black History Month in February, we wanted to have a history on the local community and how that was. And they came and gave one of the most powerful conversations with our community about our community's history on that level. And it was intriguing, it was fascinating. It was, if you ever get the opportunity, and I've encouraged them to do it again. They had a great time learning and talking together and preparing for it. And I think other groups will be offering it, and I hope to offer it again, like part 2 maybe next year. Because it really was, and we didn't have it videotaped. If we do it again, we will get it videotaped, because it was powerful and wonderful, and I just want to thank them, because it was very moving. I don't know, everybody was crying and
Yeah.
laughing, and
Yeah.
we had a really good turnout.
You know a program is really good when you can hear a pin drop. It
was great.
And you know what? If they could have talked another hour, 2 hours, I would have sat there. I was mesmerized the 1 hour that they were there. It was
Great.
amazing.
It was very, very
Yeah.
special, and 2
Yeah.
very special people.
Yeah, yeah. I just have a couple quick more things, and then I'll be quiet. So dinner parties are back. The first one is April 18th. We're having a Hawaiian luau with some hula dancers. So if you want to get your little hula going, come on down. And it's from 5 to 7 o'clock. It's $22. It's delicious food that's being catered. So, like, again, questions, come and see me. And people ask me about trips. Now, because we're doing a double newsletter, we have trips in here from March through the end of June. So plan things accordingly. If we're using our minibus, that means we're limited to the number of people. I know some people don't get their checks maybe till later in the month. Call me and say, Nancy, how many more seats do you have? I'd rather you call me than for you to be left out of a trip. But there's some really neat things coming up down the pike. So
That's great.
Any
Thank
questions?
you. Any questions?
And Jamie came too.
Yep, and Jamie is here, so thank you. And do you want me to do comments first, and then we can kind of launch into our other topic? That's why I invited Jamie, and thank you, Jamie, for coming. So we have a comment here. Is there any update on the plans for senior housing? Dorothy, again, we will talk about that. Dagmar, you had mentioned something about that.
Well, the Housing Authority handles that, and you may want to invite them to come to a meeting to give you the update. I'm not privy to their information on that.
Okay.
But I do think it's in the Plan of Conservation and Development. We brought it that's an issue that needs to be addressed, and maybe you want to have a dialogue with the Housing Commission on it, where their plans stay. I don't know. I can't speak for
Okay.
her.
I mean, Jamie, are there any updates? Is there anything that we as a commission that can do to advocate for senior housing in town?
Come take the mic. Oh, you got one.
I have a mic.
Okay. He has his own mic.
There you go.
Sorry.
Does he have one?
Have Mike will
Yeah,
travel.
thanks. Absolutely. I think senior housing has long been identified as an issue in town. And actually, that was something I was going to touch upon when we get to, I guess, my update on some things in town.
Okay.
And when I'll just get into it right now if you
Yeah,
don't mind.
that's perfect.
Because it is relevant. was recently having a conversation, a couple of people, and they were talking about this commission and the powers and the duties of this commission. And as you may know, it was established back in 1970. And just to read an excerpt for the people watching and those who may not know, this is a 9-member commission, and under the powers and duties, it said they should meet to consider the conditions and needs of elderly persons in the community in relation to housing, economic problems, employment, health services, recreation, and other matters. And then it should take these recommendations and present them to the RTM and Board of Selectmen. I think what's important to note is that was established back in 1970 prior to a full department that now exists. So I think a lot of those areas, the advocacy for the seniors can still occur within this commission, but has the added ability to go through and meet some of those needs through the department that exists. That's a pretty broad charge that's given. But getting back to Dagmar's remarks earlier about the plan of conservation and development that we're going through and right now, and I urge everybody who's either watching or a member of this commission, or perhaps the commission as a whole, reviews. I know Dagmar did provide some testimony. However, the public comment is still open. If you go to our town website, you can actually, on the homepage, there's different packets depending on the topic that they were discussing, and you can review what's the working document that the committee that's been established to draft the POCD. And again, as individuals or perhaps as a commission, you ought to review those and provide some comment. I think this is a document that helps steer some decisions in this town, at least for the next 10 years. Regarding the housing authority was mentioned. They have one parcel in town, one property, 2 buildings or 2 parcels, but that serve both seniors and those on disability currently. However, we know that there's some other housing that does exist in town that is run by other organizations. I think what may be helpful and what we try to do is try to maybe coordinate that a little bit better, the access. I get calls quite often in my office asking about how do I find out about senior housing, what's available in town. And since they're not under one agency or group, they have to contact multiple agencies, get on multiple waiting lists, and I think that can become overwhelming to some. And plus the fact, a number of seniors will put their name on a waiting list knowing there is one in advance, far in advance of actually needing the housing. However, they each have different requirements of staying current on that waiting list. So I think perhaps if we can make a recommendation as a town and maybe try to streamline some of this and kind of coordinate that may be a benefit to the residents of Branford who are looking for that housing. But there also is a need to truly expand the housing stock that is available. I think it's also important, really, as Dagmar mentioned, she was going through statistics. You want at a certain point, you want to have turnover in your housing stock. You want people who, and there is a desire for many people who've lived in the same house for 40 years, raised their family, but now it's probably more than they need, and they would love the opportunity to perhaps downsize, but there's varying degrees of downsizing, and I think we're missing some markets that exist, so they opt not to downsize, stay where they are, and because they don't want to leave the community that they spent the majority, if not all of their life in. So these are all things that need to be considered and have a discussion and continue to plan and try to encourage, proper development that would support that.
So how would that begin?
Well, again, it's, I think, as stated, our current step right now is really bringing that need to light. Though it's been discussed over many years, we have another opportunity with the POCD to kind of bring that to a public discussion out in the light some more, and perhaps you get some momentum behind it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be just a public initiative. I think if the community is able to demonstrate that there is a true need, that there is a desire, I mean, even on the private side, that may help attract some on the private development that would support that if they see it's feasible and that there's a need for it right here in town. So I think there's some stuff that we can be doing and moving that forward.
Okay. That'd be great. Thank you. All right. So if we go to the website, then we can look up the review what the open topic is and make comments.
They're actually going to start a survey too, so you may be getting some calls. There'll be a press release going out about that, so you may be getting a survey. If you go to our website on the home page, there's some links on the left of the screen, and you'll see a plan of conservation development. If you click that, it'll have all the individual packets that were discussed, different meetings. They had public meetings where the committee worked on the plan. We have a consultant who's running the project alongside our town planner. The committee would discuss it, and they would invite stakeholders, but also for public comment. And you can see the different sections of the POCD. You can read those, and it may help you. They're missing something here, or something that ought to be added, and then you can provide those directly to. There's a email directly to the town planner and submit those comments.
Okay, great. All right. So that's something that we can all do. We can go to the town website, or would you like me to coordinate it more so that I go to the town website, send those resources to everyone? How would that work best?
I think each committee member should be able to go to the website and...
I think anybody can go to the website.
Yeah, anyone could as an individual. Like I said, this is certainly a decision by the commission. I know Dagmar had shared her testimony. I don't know if that's something the commission wants to review, and then you take almost a more formal position behind it, after you have an opportunity rather than individual.
Okay. Now, is there a time element here? Because our next meeting is May 10th.
No, this will probably be, the public comment will be probably open up until mid-summer, mid-late summer.
Okay, all right. So we have an opportunity then, if we want to go onto the website, I think we should all go onto the website, certainly review what the plans are, and certainly read what Dagmar had presented. And then what we can do at the next meeting, when we come together, we can formulate
If
comments.
we have any comments, how about if we get them to you prior to the next meeting, so that we can, all be ready and to share them with us.
Okay.
We'll be ready to discuss it.
That sounds great. All right.
Excellent. Thank you.
Great. All right. So the next
However,
one.
the meetings are ended. Did I read that? So it's the public production from those meetings that will be held?
Yeah, they had this number of public hearings. They had their last one on a specific topic.
That's what I meant.
Yes,
yeah.
But there's still the opportunity to provide comment if you'd like.
Okay. Also, may I refer to your remarks about the powers and duties as it relates to this commission, and you indicated that there are other commissions which are specifically involved in housing, etc. but this commission doesn't have an input into that?
Well, I think going back to the creation of the
Yes,
commission,
it was 1970.
and it was really to make recommendations. So to the Board of Selectmen
Yes,
and RTM, and then they would take on the initiative.
Right.
I mean, that it still exists, that avenue.
Exactly, as a charge
right.
to
So,
this commission.
similar to, as I said, with the POCD, this commission could make present a shared statement that is representative of this commission. So that
Right.
opportunity still is available.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments related to the housing or charge? Okay, the next comment.
Yes, may I?
Sure,
may I
absolutely,
make another
Dorothy.
comment?
Sure.
In terms of your meetings, which I've been attending, they seem to center on the senior center. There are other organizations in the town, and one of them I can think of is like Orchard House, and Stephanie Atkins Araker, I'm sure would be willing to present to you in a manner that you might assist them. Is that within your realm, or is that?
I don't know. I'm thinking in the sense of Orchard House as a separate entity, and I don't think that's not.
But
It's not a municipal
It's not a
entity,
municipal
but
town,
can
part
we
of the
get
town.
information from them? Because you're saying their charge is broader than just the senior center, right?
I'm sorry.
You're saying that the charge of this commission is broader than just
Broader
Camille
than
Road.
just the senior center, and that was something I thought might be discussed.
But the Orchard House is not a municipal
Right.
department. But if there were an issue related to adult daycare that was brought forth to commission, I would think you would go to that commission, as an advocate for seniors, if there was an issue regarding that. But I think they have their own organization that does that. But certainly issues come up that the commission may feel passionate about and want to explore with other
How does the
agencies.
commission feel about that?
Any comments?
Any comments?
I didn't hear your question, Dorothy.
Well, I was thinking about how do you feel about involving or making comments to that kind of question?
Well, in terms of Orchard House, it says in this charge that we should have something to say about health issues with people, with
Yes.
seniors. And certainly, I would think there could be some collaboration between this commission and Orchard House in terms of, does everyone know that we have an adult daycare center in Branford? I don't know. And maybe lots of more people need to know that, and that they have transportation. So educating people on it and trying to get perhaps Stephanie here
Yes.
one time would be a good.
Sure. I mean,
Positive.
we could certainly invite Stephanie to a commission meeting just to give more people the opportunity to find out more.
Exactly.
About
You have the
adult day
ability
center.
of broadcasting the needs and the actions because of the televised meetings.
Right.
And something like that might be of great help to people to enlighten them as to what happens in these commission meetings.
Okay. I'm wondering though, if somebody has a specific need or a question and they contact the senior center, referrals will be made. I know from the element, I work at the visiting nurses, and we do refer people to the adult day center all the time, depending on what their needs specifically are.
Well, then, therefore, you have made the statement, which will be televised, that people can call the senior center for reference. And that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to express, that there needs to be more communication.
I'd like to point out, too, that Mary Hahn is on the board of directors at Orchard House.
Is more for Alzheimer and dementia. And so they're kind of limited on what they could do. The Orchard House is for dementia and Alzheimer. And that's
Oh,
what the
really?
paper
Just
was.
for-
And they have a great program there
Yes.
Yes.
that and they're well cared for. I mean, it's a really good
Absolutely, it's a
place
great
for
program.
them to be,
Yeah.
right? Well, don't you think?
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
I don't think they would qualify to go to another place because of their condition.
Right. It's medically supervised also. They have
Right.
nurses on staff.
Exactly.
So if people need assistance with medications, bathing, all of those are offered at the Adult Day Center. Where it's different because if somebody is well and they're going out for social reasons, again, the senior center would be a more appropriate place for them to be.
But I think what Dorothy's point is if you invite Stephanie to come and speak to what they
Sure.
offer residents in Branford, it gives a wider
Yeah.
audience.
A wider
And I think
audience,
that's
exactly.
what you really say,
Yeah.
right?
And that was also my statement in saying that a definition of the powers and duties, because it seems to be wider than the action of just hearing about the senior center at every meeting. And that was my question also.
Okay.
The other point that I think I was trying to make is that you have a commission of 9 people and the ex officio of the first selectman. And at a previous meeting, Director Dagmar made its comment that there are more men becoming members too. I don't know, I'm not familiar with the exact date of appointments, but perhaps it might be a consideration to have another man or two on the board.
Okay. So
On the
Jamie, did you
commission.
get that?
That goes through the Board of Selectmen, so speak to my boss. And
Well,
men out there.
he's listening, I'm sure.
Yes, he is, always.
I think those are the subjects that I had brought up, and you've done.
No, I don't think the next round will be up in December of this year.
You do have Rebecca's space.
Oh, Rebecca's the only one. We have the opening for Rebecca.
Right?
And,
Rebecca Randall.
And also, Anita.
And Anita, too.
And Anita as well.
We have 8 now.
Okay, I'll email that to you, okay?
If people are interested
Who is
in the
it?
town.
We have 8, we have opening for 1.
One vacancy.
One vacancy.
Okay.
And how would somebody who's interested go about?
No, there's no, Luba's here, there is no you filled the vacancies.
Yeah, Luba's not here.
Luba, we're missing Luba, and we're missing, not Rebecca, Luba, and who else is it?
Anita?
No, it's just Luba.
5, 6, 7, 8, so you have 1 opening.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Luba makes 9. There's
she
8
doesn't.
people there.
No,
1, 2, 3,
7.
4, 5.
Seven.
There's
Yeah,
7.
seven.
Nancy's great.
Sorry.
Keep counting.
It's been a long day.
Yeah. There's 1 opening, Jamie knew, just ask him, he knows, trust me.
He does that. So just close them over, so. Okay, we were talking about the terms.
Yeah, the
Because I
terms.
think there were some terms where people had their term expired the end of December. So with the exception of Anita, I hope you all want to stay on the commission. One of them was-
They've been reappointed.
Okay, see, so
They're
they're
all
reappointed.
reappointed.
Thank you, Jamie, for taking care
Oh,
of
may I
that.
ask another
We don't wanna
question,
lose you.
Dagmar? Remember at a previous time when it was planned to have a new senior center, there was a floor plan that was displayed in the copy room. Is it possible to have something like that so that the citizens know what's occurring in terms of space?
I did hear when you mentioned it at the last meeting, I brought it
Yes.
to Jamie's attention and also to the building commission's attention, so I'll let Jamie address that.
Yes, I did ask the architect. I did
Yes.
ask the architect to put together some renderings that we can display.
That would be nice.
I know they're just finishing some, picking out some final finishes, and they'll have those displays for exterior, interior floor plan, which we can display down there. As well as I had asked the architect, we were to do another presentation at the center at some point, which we need to coordinate.
Because I've had people make comments about how the space would be utilized.
Yeah, and there were misconceptions at the last meeting.
Yes.
And people can always come and ask me, and I can address questions now, but they are planning, and I think probably by May, which is Older Americans Month, we'll give them that deadline, to have it there and maybe have the architect come
That
talk
would be
about
fine.
people during Older Americans Month. How about that?
Yeah.
That's a fair timeline. And I don't know if, Jamie, you want to speak about what's going on with the project?
Yeah. Do you want to give an update?
Well, the project's moving along. They got all the they have the drive files. All the piles are set. They're starting the foundation work now. The interior of the building is actually gutted. They're doing the layout for the new walls, and that work is moving along. I think it's important to point out we were anticipating to be in by the end of this coming October of 18 was the deadline. I think there were some delays in the beginning moving along. However, it's important to recognize that the contractor is responsible to put together a recovery schedule, how he's going to make up that time, because not only is it in our interest to get into that facility sooner than later, and we're all excited to be there and we're waiting for it, but it's also the contractor's interest to get in there sooner than later and meet that deadline. So I just wanted to let this commission know, let the public know that as things come about, schedules may change. However, there is still that focus for next fall opening, and as we go along, the contractor will be reviewing, identifying where he can make up some time.
Does that mean that the steel problem has been solved? There was a report that the holdup was the steel, structural steel.
No, that's not the holdup. I know it was reported, I think, what you had was somebody taking an excerpt from a discussion and not focusing on the full discussion. There was before anything had happened, they were doing the pile driving, and that was set. That schedule did admittedly slide. Therefore, if you're looking at the schedule they provided on day one or the day prior to starting, obviously that everything's out of sequence. However, as I said, the contractor is creating a recovery schedule to show how to make that up. The comment of the steel drawings was just the architect updating the committee, they submit a book of 500 pages of all the shop drawings and everything that was there. That goes to the engineers, they review it. The structural engineer made some comments on some of it, which is, to be quite honest, it's just some clarification. That's common in any project. And the architect was stating that he sent those back and he hadn't had the opportunity prior to that meeting to review those comments. So that was the issue when they referenced the steel. And then that led into a conversation, well, looking at the schedule that was created at the start of the project, we're off schedule. And that is true. However, it's important to note that it's in the contractor's interest to provide a recovery schedule.
Right.
Because there are liquidated damages in the present.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
It's very helpful. Any other comments? Do you have anything? No? Okay. So I do have a couple of other comments, and I apologize that we're addressing these so late. We should have gotten them, in the last meeting in January, but we did not have the time. These are from November. There were a couple of comments A few suggestions to make for the new senior center more welcoming and inviting, conducive to socializing. One recommendation was to have round tables and dining room to encourage inclusive conversation. An area with comfy furniture for members to sit and read, discuss current events, etc. A sign in and out sheet or other check-in system for safety and security of members, and a TV available to members in the comfy area, perhaps. So,
there's lots of TVs.
Any comments?
I think actually all those suggestions are being addressed in the...
Except the round tables. We found that round tables make it harder to hear because it's a longer distance. And we're looking toward more tables, like tables for 4 that can be put together for 6 or 8, so that it does promote conversation. So round tables, even I know myself, when I go to a wedding, I'm across a round table. It's hard to talk to someone else when it's that big, but we're looking to having...
8 or 9 foot.
It's kind of like on cruise ships, everybody can find their nook and cranny, and I think we're very cognizant of that here. You want to promote conversation amongst people in a big group, in smaller groups, and I think everyone will find their place. There's TVs, there's the sports theme, there's a lot.
Although there's a lot of discussion about the flexible space.
Right.
However, there are some rooms that have kind of defined use,
library,
which got referred to as a library, but it's really more of just area where people can socialize in a smaller setting. So that exists, the TVs exist, the sign-in and the check-in system, that's going to be upgraded. So those type of things are already incorporated.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next one, it states approximately 6 months ago, and again, this was back in November, we seniors were promised a few computer stations would be set up to replace those which were removed from the old computer room. To date, this has not happened. Not all seniors have internet access at home. Was this a false promise?
No, actually, the Greater New Haven Transit District gave us 5 tablets to use, and they're connected to the Wi-Fi. So I forgot to put that in the newsletter, actually. If someone's interested and wants to get internet access, they can see me, and I will take a license from them or something so that we know we get it back, so it doesn't leave the property. But we do have some tablets that people can use to access the internet.
Okay.
So that was from the Greater New Haven Transit, made that possible.
Okay, and Dorothy, I think we addressed all of your comments.
You have.
That you have, okay. Do you have another comment?
I have one quick
Yes,
question
please.
related to that. Are you going to hire someone to be a technical person?
I have spoken to HR about it, and I have put together a job description. It just hasn't been posted yet. Okay. It's hard to find an Alex, I'll be honest with you, but we are going to do that. No, that's definitely on board, and I have spoken to HR about it.
Okay, great. So just to kind of recap, are there any other comments? Kind of to recap what we can plan for the next meeting on May 10th. Again, if we each go to the town website, again, and look at that POCD plan, and send me any of your comments, and we can discuss that in more detail at the next meeting. And I will reach out to Stephanie at the Orchard House to see if we can invite her to one of the meetings to kind of give a broader overview of what they might have to offer at Orchard House. And again, Jamie, we have one vacancy. I'll send you an email related to that. So if we can find a mail for the commission. All right.
So they have to approach you, though, right?
Yeah, if anybody's interested.
Okay, if anybody's interested.
If anyone's interested or you know anyone.
Maybe from the men's group.
Send an email or a letter, drop off a letter.
Okay.
We'll mention it at the focus group on the 24th.
Do any of the commission members feel as though there are comments made here that might be published in the newsletter? Because not everyone attends the meeting, unfortunately. And
the meetings are now
televised.
Online. The minutes are online. The agendas are online. It's on Facebook Live now. People can watch it. And Dorothy, there are many, many people that say things to Nancy and I don't know about the commission. They watch it on public TV.
They do.
A lot of people do. So they have access on that as well.
You know, and the other thing, too, if we put that in the newsletter, all those lovely things that we're offering, I wouldn't be able to fit it. It's really hard because I have to shrink my verbiage and I have a difficult time. So if we add everything from the commission meeting, there'll be no space.
Well, I realize that there are other outlets. It's just
But you know,
that
if
for
someone
those-
does, if
for
someone
those who
does,
don't do it.
yeah, if someone doesn't have access to the internet, we'd be happy to tell them how to get it on the TV. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are watching it live too because they comment. So
Absolutely.
I hope you have your power back and you're watching.
That's it. That's it. Okay. Well, any other comments? Anything from any of the commissioners?
I'd just like to recommend that the committee members do take a few minutes just to look at this AARP network of the age-friendly communities. I had the opportunity to just review it really quickly. I was very impressed.
It is very
and
impressive.
I would like to see if we can start to maybe form some small committees or whatever and pursue discussion if that's
Okay.
Awesome.
No, that would be
That'd
great.
be
I would.
great.
I think that would be great. I think if we get an opportunity,
And there are
again, we can go to the
sites that we can go
website,
into.
again, to
It
look
looks
at
as though
what
it
the
might be
process
really
involves.
Yeah.
And again, I will put this on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
All right. If there are no other issues to discuss, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion.
I second it.
Okay. All those in favor of ending the meeting?
Aye.
So moved. Meeting closed. We'll see you again on March 10th.
On May
And
10th.
thank you, May 10th. May 10th.
Oh gosh.
May 10th.
The preceding program was brought to you through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.